What countries were the world leader during this period?
Okay, during the Cold War, we have two different main groups, main countries. You have the USSR, the United Soviet Socialist Republics, and you have also the United States of America, the USSA, the USA, which are the countries that are normally the ones considered like the two main powers at the time. They are the result of the big. They're like the surviving or the two countries that are the most important after World War II.
Why did countries who were allies during the war become enemy after war?
You have the spoil of wars. That's the phrase that you will use. The spoil of war. What happened after you have a big war? You have to distribute who's going to pay territories, who's going to be in charge, and there's a lot of conflict on that because you have two big countries that are disputing over that, and you have obviously the USSR, as I mentioned, and the United States. And in addition to that, they have different ideologies. The first ideology of one country, the USSR, is communist slash socialist. They have the idea that they have to distribute wealth among the people, but it has to be supervised by the government. While the capitalism in the United States thinks something different. It's like you earn what you earn, and the government cannot touch it. So it's those two ideologies in conflict that, in addition to, as I mentioned, the spoil of wars, in which they have to distribute it, that they actually have to do that.
Where did the Cold War take place?
The Cold War never took place in a geographical place. Actually, it took place. It was a situation. It was a relationship between two countries, more than anything. It wasn't in a place. It wasn't in a physical place. It was not in the United States, or it was not in a city of the United States, but in the USSR. But rather, it was the tension of the two between the two countries. The possibility that at any moment the other would give a reason to start a war, that there will be the imminent sense of destruction, the doom of it. That's what it actually was, the Cold War.
What opinion did the general public have of the Cold War?
If we're talking about the present, most people don't understand. They don't know it, and at least in Mexico, they don't know that. In the United States, this is something very real for them. They know it, they understand it. The same with the USSR or nowadays Russia, Ukraine, and countries similar to that situation. They understand that situation. But if we're talking about the past, there was a very tense situation. The country didn't understand the other. One side didn't understand the other, and it was in both ways. The United States didn't understand the way of living of the USSR. The USSR didn't understand the way of living of the United States of America. The result is there was a constant misconception of what they were going or doing at the moment. As a result, simply they didn't understand it, and they had a bad idea. They saw them as enemies, when in reality they were two countries with different perspectives of life.
What type of weapon did the World War power have it at their disposal?
At that moment, we're talking about that there was a long period, and this is the most important part that people have to understand. The Cold War, it was a long period of time. It wasn't just one day. Depending of the approach that you take, depending of the historian or the books that you check, there's many different time periods. The earliest one starts in 1946, 1948. There's others that says it started in 1969. That's a possibility, and they finish in 1989 or in 1991. In any case of that, you're talking about of over 30 years periods, and in that time, it wasn't that there was only one weapon, but actually there was the development of many of them. There was an infrastructure that was preparing for war. It was an infrastructure that was preparing to be ready to fight them at any second. Like literally there was rehearsal, there was practice at school to do that. This also caused that the population was afraid, and as I said, this also caused that the government started to develop new different weapons to counterattack. The first one and the most common one that is well known is the nuclear war. The nuclear bombs, which started after 1945, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then you have what it is the biological bioweapons, the development of illness such as pox that actually was out of circulation, out of the environment of the population, and which basically caused them death. So you have mainly two: nuclear and biological weapons. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.